guys, okay, it's Sarah, and I really want to talk to you guys about something that I'm really passionate about. And if you go through my Twitter or my Instagram, even my Facebook, my blog, if you look at it, just everything's really positive. And obviously, if you know me, I was born missing my left hand, and I'm totally okay with it. I'm confident in who God has created me to be, like no problem whatsoever. I'm totally confident in it. I'm so happy that God has chosen to give me one hand. I would never change it for the world. But I also want to put it out there that there are times where I question, why me? And it's not something that stays for a long amount of time. It's just like a night or a day when it really comes into my head that, oh, I'm actually quite different from the people around me. And even though we all have differences and flaws, some people's are just more obvious than others. So I want to share with you guys something that just kind of came up to me today and yesterday. Yesterday is when it happened, and on my blog I called this the realization. First I want to give you guys two examples of when it's kind of gotten to me that I have one arm. You know, none of us are perfect, so the fact that these little things happen to me, it's all a part of life, and this is just sometimes you need to get it out there that, oh, I am different, and you just need to release it from your system. You need to cry. Like, it's okay for you to realize this. So one of those situations was I was making a present for someone for their birthday, and it was where I had to hammer little tiny nails that were maybe a half an inch into a board. And I was trying to hold the nail with my little arm, and I was trying to hammer, and I couldn't do it. And there have been things from when I was little, like jumping rope, putting up my hair, curling my hair, things that take a long time to actually accomplish, but eventually I get them, or I get them with a few tries. This was one thing that really, really got to me, the fact that I could not figure out how to hammer this nail into this board, and I just broke down. Because there's nothing that I can't do. And so figuring out something and trying to do something, and then I have to realize, oh, Sarah, you can't do this because you have one hand, that just reminds me in my head, this is one of those things that you can't do because you have one hand. But then I have to spin my head a little bit and realize, okay, no, with determination, with practice, with prayer, with help from people, it's okay to ask for help, and I'm now just starting to learn that. But I just cried and cried and cried for like an hour just because I was so upset that there was this one thing that I could not do, and I knew that I could within time. I just had to figure something out. So I went to my dad, and he helped me. I didn't want his help, but he helped me, and we got through it. And within an hour, I was able to hammer probably 200 nails onto this board. But it's little things like that. Or one time I had a plate, and I was holding it in my little arm, and I rest the plate like on my rib cage. And I was putting on a taco, I was scooping taco meat, and the plate just fell out of my little arm and fell on the floor and broke everywhere. And my dad was like, Sarah! And that made me cry because it was something that I didn't mean to do. I just couldn't do it right away. But we all go through these moments, and we all have these times when we're like, why am I made this way? But in the end, we have to remember that God has a plan, and God has a purpose for each thing that he does in our lives. So yesterday, I went to Chicago, and I was walking around the city. I was in a tank top and like a cute little skirt. And normally I'm just pretty, like, I'm okay with who I am. I can walk through the mall, and yeah, people might stare at me, but there's not very many people, and if there is, it's not a big deal to me. But yesterday I was walking into Chicago. I was walking to Chicago up and down the streets, you know, and there's like hundreds of people, and not very many of them stared. I'll be completely honest, I love when I like walk into places and not everyone actually is like, oh my gosh, look at her arm. But it's fine if they do. But not everyone stared at me, and I loved that. Although when I was walking through the buildings, you see yourself like in the reflection of all of these shiny glass windows and the buildings and the mirrors and the stores, and it really got to me yesterday that I was different. And normally I just forget that I'm missing an arm, and I don't really remember. I'm just like, oh, I forget. But it really just like got to me that, I am different. Like all of these people, we're each different in our own special way, but why is mine so obvious compared to other people's? Because I have all of these people just staring down at me, and they're probably wondering like, why does she look so funny? Or why does she have one arm? What happened? Stuff like that. And when little kids ask me, it's okay. I think it's good for people to see others with differences that are more obvious. But it just really got to me. And I just want people to know that with every positive thing, there's also negative things as well. But those negative things are always going to turn into a positive thing, and they're going to turn into a realization. So for me, that realization was just that it's okay to break down sometimes. It's okay to cry. Everyone has the days when they're just like, why? And they just wonder. And we all have days where we want to cry, where we want to break down, where things get to us emotionally. And it's okay to have those days. That's all part of being humans, and that's all part of the way that God has planned for us. God knew that I was going to go through that moment, and he knew that I was going to have that moment, but he also knew that he was going to get me through it, and I would see a bigger picture in the end because of this moment that God has given me. So that really came into my realization. And with every doubt in your head, just remember to pray about it. And it's okay to have those days. With every question that we have, that God always has an answer, and we just have to ask him for that answer. When I walk down the street, I don't want to hide who I am. I don't want to have a sleeve hanging off my arm, and I don't want to not be okay with who I am, because I should be proud of who God has created me to be, and we should all be proud of who God has made us to be. And that's my point. And I want you to know that you are beautiful, and you should tell yourself this every day. But we also need to remember just to be proud of who we are, and to not worry about what's the outcome of things or what's to come, because God has every minute, every hour, every second planned. Every year he knows what's going to happen, and he knows what we're going to go through, and he has a plan for what we're going to go through each and every day. So as I was walking down the streets of Chicago, I just had 2 Bible verses that really popped into my head. And the first one, I'm reading them off the screen. The first one is Psalms 139:14, and it says, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. So when I look into this, and when I read this, and when I say this, what comes into my head is I praise you. I praise God for creating me with one arm, because I'm proud of who I am, and I know that he had a plan for this. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God has created me like this for a reason, for a purpose in my life, and he knows what's going to happen with it. Wonderful are his works. Wonderful are your works. God's works are beautiful. If all of us were created the exact same, today's society and today's life, today's world would be so boring. So we need to be thankful for his works, because each and every one of them are so wonderful and beautiful. And my soul knows it very well. Sometimes maybe our head might think differently, but deep down in our hearts, we know that God has created us imperfectly perfect just as we are, and we just have to really look deep inside of us sometimes. The next Bible verse was 1 John 4:16, and it says, so we have come to know and to believe that the love God has for us. God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. So this just came to my head, that God loves us no matter what. And God's love is so great, and it's so strong, and no matter what, if we abide our love in God, and he's going to abide it back, and he's going to love us no matter what, and we don't have to worry. So this just really popped into my head, and I wanted to share this with you. It's also on my blog so that you guys can read it a little bit, but I just wanted to talk about it and share with you that it's okay. We all go through those moments. I go through those moments. Just because I'm so positive all the time doesn't mean that I don't have those days when I wonder. So just remember that it's okay. We all go through them, and just trust in God, because he does have a plan for our lives. Thank you guys, and God bless.